I'm going to show you how to make Kreative Kiwi's mandala notebook cover. I'm going to make the notebook itself in one hooping, but I've got a second hooping which is going to be for the tab that I'm going to join to the notebook. So for the tab I've got my 4x4 hoop and my fabrics and batting cut to size. I'm also using wash away stabilizer because it's got an embroidered edge and I don't want the stabilizer poking through afterwards. I've got matching bobbin and thread as well for that. For the actual notebook cover itself, I've got my 8x12 hoop. I'm going to be using the same thread as I did for the tab. I've got masking tape, my squizzers, and also my fabrics and batting cut to size. Now, I've provided lots of information in this video description, so please do take the time to read it. It will tell you where I get my supplies from and everything else, how to join Kreative Kiwi's Facebook group, all sorts of useful information to you. So we're going to start off by hooping 2 layers of wash away stabilizer, and I've got the tab file loaded into my machine along with my silver matching bobbin and thread. So place your 2 layers of stabilizer over your hoop and then push in the inner part, and I like to add pins around the edge of top edge of my hoop so that it holds my stabilizer nice and firmly in place. So I take a pin, place it on top of the hoop, push it through, and then bring it back round and through the stabilizer again, and that anchors it, stopping it from being pulled through the 2 parts of the frame. And I'm going to do that all the way around. I will do exactly the same for the notebook, but I will be using more pins because it's a much larger hoop, of course. So once you've hooped your stabilizer, you're then going to pop your hoop into your machine and you're going to stitch round number 1 of the tab, and that's going to give you your placement outline for the batting and fabrics. I've slipped a piece of paper underneath my hoop just so that you can see my outline there. So we're now going to turn the hoop over and we're going to place the batting, no, we're not going to place the batting, we're going to place the fabric, our backing fabric, with the right side facing you over the outline, so wrong side down, and then you're going to tape it in place. Turn your hoop back and then place your batting over the outline as well and tape that in place. Pop your hoop into your machine and stitch round number 2 to secure them. Trim away the excess batting. And then you're going to place your front fabric over the top and tape that in place. You're now going to stitch round number 3, and that's going to secure your fabric, and it's also going to do the quilted lines along the tab. You're now going to trim away the excess fabric from both front and back of your hoop, so turn your hoop over. I'm very sorry if you can hear snoring in the background, it's my cat. Make sure you've got your matching bobbin and thread in your machine, and then you're going to stitch round number 4, and that's going to do the satin stitch around the edge here. Now that that's completed, we can free it from the hoop, so turn your hoop over and just trim around the edge close to the stitch line. Don't worry too much about any excess stabilizer because we're going to get rid of that afterwards with some warm water. And that's the tab finished, and we can put that aside for a minute. I've loaded the single hooping file into my machine, and I've hooped and pinned my stabilizer, and this is cutaway stabilizer this time, and I've got 2 sheets of it, into my hoop. Once you've done that, you're going to stitch round number 1, and that's going to give you your batting placement outline. I'm going to extend these lines here so that it's easier to see later on. Now going to place your batting over the outline and tape it in place. Pop your hoop back into your machine and stitch round number 2 to secure it. You're now going to trim away the excess batting from around your hoop, and I am going to apologise in advance in case this goes out of shot. This hoop is so big I haven't got the workspace really, that's why I tend to use smaller hoops for videos. You're now going to place your front fabric face upwards, so pretty side up, and you're going to tape it in place. Pop your hoop back into your machine and stitch round number 3, and that's going to secure your fabric in place, and then it's going to start doing the quilting on the back of your notebook. Next is colour number 4, and that's going to stitch the mandala portion of the back. So if you want to change your thread, now is the time to do so. Next is round number 5, and that's going to stitch the quilting on the spine. So if you want to change your thread colour, now is the time to do so. Round number 6 is going to stitch the quilting on the front portion now. So if you want to change your thread colour, now is the time to do so. Next is round number 7, and that's going to be the mandala on the front portion. So if you want to change your thread colour, now is the time to do so. Load whichever colour you want to stitch the satin stitching, which is going to go down each side of the spine there, and then you're going to stitch round number 8. At the beginning, when we marked off these lines, I made a bit of an error. This one here, in actual fact, should be up here. So I'm going to take my pen and I'm going to redo that line again, and it's going to go about there. That's better. Okay, we're now going to add the tab, and you're going to place that face down, facing the back of your notebook cover, like so, and then you're going to tape it in place. This is going to be my pen holder. All I've done is taken a piece of fabric, I've pressed it in half, then into quarters, and then folded it like you would for bias binding, and then I've just stitched around the edge, and all I'm going to do is form a loop that actually goes around my pen. So to place that, I'm going to put my pen in here. I tend to use quite fat pens, so I'm going to use that as my measure. And again, we want it facing towards the center of the book cover, and then I'm going to place it here, and that gives me enough room then to move it in and out. Now when we put the sides on that our notebooks slip into, this will seal around here and hold them all in place. So I'm going to tape my pen holder in place. We're now going to add the side flap. So with the folded edge going towards the center of your notebook cover, you're going to align it to these two lines here and then tape them in place. I'm just going to put a little piece along there as well. Then you're going to pop your hoop into your machine and stitch round number 9 to secure it. We're now going to do the same the other side, so we're going to place this with the fabric fold here up to these lines and tape them in place. Pop your hoop back into your machine and stitch round number 10 to secure it. We're now going to attach the lining. I want to put a placement ribbon in the back of mine, so I'm going to place this. I want it to come below here so that it hangs out the bottom of my notebook. So I'm going to place that there, not too far down because I don't want it ridiculously long, and then I'm going to tape it in place. I'm just going to put a little bit of tape at the top as well. I just want to make sure that these two ribbons are held nicely together. That's fine. Now I'm going to place my lining fabric, and this is the inside of your notebook, face down over the lines, and these are your placement lines still. So, and it's going to stitch this side first, which is the right hand side when your hoop's in the right way in your machine. So I'm going to tape those in place. Now, although I want this to come down here, I don't want it to be stitched in like that, so I'm going to fold it back and then bring my fabric back over and tape it in place. That way it's not going to get caught up in the stitching and get into mischief. You're going to stitch round number 11, and that's going to stitch down here, and if you're happy with that, immediately afterwards you can then stitch round number 12, which is this side here. And now round number 12. So now that that's all stitched, we can remove this from the hoop. And we're now going to trim up all the way around the outside, and I'm going to leave about 1/4 of an inch all the way around. I like to snip my corners so that when I turn it out the right way, they lay nice and neatly. Take care not to cut the stitching though. Okay, we're now going to turn the back over. The lining's now out the right way. I can remove the tape that's holding these and flip my flap over to the other side. I'm now going to go and press this. Now that my cover is pressed, I'm going to add a cam snap. Now, to do that, I'm just going to slip this end of my notebook into the sleeve, and this here is for my pen. As I said earlier, that's going to sit in there like so. And it will work equally well for a thinner pen as well. So when this comes round, that will be held in like so. So I've got to decide where I'm going to put my cam snap. So I'm going to put that around about there. I think that looks okay there. It's not the colour cam snap that I would have liked, but I had to use this coloured tassel, so I decided to go for something that matched, just to tie the two in. And then I'm going to get my pen, hold it where the point is, remove that, and just go down. So I'm going to put the bottom part of the snap right there. So I can now remove that and remove these bits from the notebook holder. Okay, you're going to want a sharp tool like an awl. This is actually a clay sculpting tool, but it serves the purpose very well. And you're going to pierce a hole, taking care not to pierce your fingers as well, right the way through to the back. And give it a good piercing there. Then the spiky part is going to go from the back towards the front of the snap, that is. So remove my tool, and then I'm going to thread the spike through the hole that I've just created. Lay that down there and push it in place. Okay, that's come through there quite nicely, and it doesn't matter which piece, male or female, that you put on first. I think I'm going to go for the male. You're going to take your tool with the black cup to the bottom, and the button part of your snap will sit in the black cup like so, and the top half in this clear little piece here, and then you're going to squeeze, and that is nice and firmly attached, that part of the snap. Okay, let's pop that back in there. So now we're going to do the tab part. So get your notebook cover all nicely lined up, and actually I'm going to do the same again. I'm going to put my notebook in and do it that way. It's a bit more accurate that way. Okay, and my pen in place as well. This over. Because I've put the male on first, I can actually feel the cup, and I'm going to push my stabby tool into it like so. And this time the button will go on top. And then the female goes on top of that, and I place the button into the black cup and the clear part over the top and squeeze. And that's the snap nicely in place. All that remains now is to remove the wash away stabilizer excess from around the tab. So I'm going to use a cotton bud and some warm water. Just dip your cotton bud in and run it around the edge. So I'm now going to put my notebook in properly. Ribbon that comes down to mark my place. In actual fact, I think I'm going to put the pretty pen in with it. And I think we can call that finished. I hope you enjoyed this stitch along. If you did, please give me a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe to be notified of new videos as they're published. Please do pop along to Kreative Kiwi's Facebook group. There's lots of ideas and inspiration there for everybody. And thank you very much for joining me.